7 o'clock on the dot. I will call this meeting to order. We will stand, say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Just a reminder, if you're here to make public comments, I'll need your name on the legal pad on the podium. And all right, first item on the agenda is January minutes and February claim docket. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to examine those.
I reviewed the claim docket and the minutes. I make a motion we approve them.
Okay, got a first motion?
I will second it.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda. Last month we discussed the FSG Corp contract, and we approved it. We just didn't go forward with the signatures on that, so we brought it up again so we could sign, unless anybody has any comments, questions. All right, did we have a...
I sent it down to you.
You sent it down to me,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Is it buried under Water Boy?
It's right there buried under Water Boy.
Thank you. I will put my legal signature on here. All right, next item on the agenda, response from FDLT. So I apologize, I didn't get this typed into the document that we had sent for the lease, but I'll just, I printed out a copy of the email I got back from Mr. Butler. It says, first, I'm not sure why this has become such an issue, but in regards to the lease, my response of changes is as follows. 3, rent. I will not agree to this. We never have done this and will not in the future. I remodeled the station to make better living conditions for personnel at cost of approximately $30,000 after town board rejected proposal. 4, attendance at town council meeting. I will have a quarterly report sent to you for your information. Chief Russell or one of his representatives can attend your meetings if they are available or choose to do so. Don't feel this should be term of lease agreement. Number 6, maintenance repairs at station. Township will repair and maintain station in working order for day-to-day operations and normal wear and tear of equipment. 7, Town of Clayton is to continue insurance coverage for loss of building. Township will continue liability insurance and insure property equipment in the building. And 8, Township will continue to pay all utilities. Signed, Brad Butler, Liberty Township Trustee. All right. Thoughts?
Well, to me, that's, if they're gonna pay for any repairs or anything, I have no problem with not charging them no rent to be there. Come in, we won't, if furnace goes out or something like that, we won't have to pay for any of that. If they're gonna keep the upkeep of building, other than building ourselves, we only insure the building, nothing in it.
Okay.
That's,
Well, I'm gonna disagree with John.
okay.
Sorry.
That's all fine. That's
I
fine.
feel like it's our building, and if it's our building, then we should be paying for any maintenance or repairs, because we wanna make sure that it's done to our satisfaction, not their satisfaction. And if their township has money to pay for maintenance, they can pay for the rent, and we do the maintenance.
Well, and his statement that they've never paid rent is not accurate, because they used to pay, it was $1 a year, right?
$1.
Correct.
I mean, obviously that is not the same, but they
Sure
did pay rent.
help. Sure did help out.
The town, or the nonprofit fire department, before it became a township fire department, they paid rent. However, yeah, I mean, you know, our request was $1,000 a month, and then he put $30,000 into repairs, so, which is above and beyond what we were gonna charge him. And we also stated in our proposal that we would put that $1,000 a month into a specific fund to put back into the station for upgrades and those kinds of things. So to me, it's just kind of odd that he's willing to fork out the $30,000 to do these repairs, which he did without asking for approval or telling us what he was doing.
Exactly.
But then, he's not willing to just pay $12,000. So to me, that's just weird.
Yeah. But I just feel like it's our building.
Yeah.
We don't want, he shouldn't have done the 30,000 to begin with without our permission to do it. And now he's saying that he's gonna just continue to do things to the building without having our permission. So I think that part is, repairs and maintenance should come from us. And again, I say, if they've got the township that's gonna pay X dollars to do the maintenance repairs, well, they've already got money set aside for that, that should go towards rent. So, that's just my opinion.
I agree.
My opinion is, we table, throw this on a shelf until next year at this time. We accept what he's written here, take the emotional stuff out of it, and the fact that he's put 30K into the building, that 30K doesn't come out of the building when they leave. That 30K stays with the building, so it's an asset to us. And the fact that they're willing to do the maintenance and repairs over the next year, we'll just ride that out. I think it's just a matter of we need to repair our relationship with the township trustee, and we need to get back on the same page on a lot of things. And I just think for now, that we should just accept this and go with it. But that's my opinion.
All right, any other thoughts?
I would compromise with you, Dave, that, you know, we don't wanna ask them to pay rent, but I still believe that they shouldn't be doing anything to that building without asking our permission. If they wanna pay for it, that's fine, but they need to know that they have to ask our permission to do it.
Yeah, which I think we had initially put in our part of the contract, that, you know, any substantial, you know, modifications to the building or changes had to come through, they had to come to the town council and present their proposal for what they were gonna do, first, so. And we could
I agree with that.
certainly take the, you know, rent part out or drop it back down to $1 a year, like we used to do with the non-for-profit fire department, and then, or make it 0, and then, but state, you know, we don't want changes being done to that station without town council approval prior to work being done. Unless, like, and we put in a clause about emergencies, you know, if the door won't open in the middle of the night for some reason and they need to be able to get their fire apparatus out, you know, that's different, that's one thing, but, or power outage in the middle of the winter or something.
Yeah, I think if we just reply back and say something like what you just said, and then just kindly ask them to let us know if there are repairs that need to be made, that we have an ability to weigh in on those repairs before they're conducted.
Okay. All right, I'll type that up and I'll send a email to the board prior to sending it to them after I've typed that up, just to make sure I've worded it the way that everybody here is in agreement on that. All right, any other thoughts on the fire department? All right, next on the agenda, annexation progress. We had a meeting last Tuesday, the 4th of February, where we invited the general public in to talk to the planning commission about what the town would like to do related to annexation. I feel overall it was somewhat positive. There were a couple of, heated moments and hurt attitudes, I guess, but I think for the most part, we gathered a lot of good information. I feel like the planning commission has some good detailed things to try and work on solving to make this more palatable to people who might be interested in annexation in the future. That part of it, that planning commission might come back to the town council and ask for help on some things that are outside of their authority, just so that everybody's kind of aware that that might be a future meeting where we discuss what they've come up with or decided to ask for help on. And then we've also had some interesting developments related to that annexation that's happened in the township. Dave and I went to the school board meeting yesterday over concerns that the school was facing about the annexation that's going to happen for the golf resort neighborhood on 39. The school board felt like an amendment that was put in this week in that bill that everybody was worried about was very encouraging, that a residential TIF would be something the school board was able to weigh in on and vote down if they didn't want that residential TIF going in, so that they could still get tax money from that increased valuation and therefore have money to accommodate the influx of students that they're going to get from this big neighborhood. But Dave, did you have anything you wanted to add about our experience at the board meeting last night?
No, it sounds like they're basically in the 11th hour kind of making concessions a little bit to help the school system, and without somebody, I guess, stepping up and stating that a lot, that they wouldn't have done it. So we still don't know whether that means they're going to fully take care of the school system or where that lies.
Yeah.
Correct. Anybody else have any other thoughts on the annexation? You know, both Don and John came and sat in the audience and
No, I thought,
participated. And,
I
I
thought
watched
some,
it on TV
yeah?
yeah,
till I got bored.
The bill?
All right.
No, the annexation meeting.
Ours on
I watched it
the
on
4th?
YouTube
Oh,
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah, and then I got kind of bored.
Okay. So anyway, those are some things that we're, obviously working on, trying to make sure that we're not stepping on too many toes out there, but still trying to do what's best for the town. All right. Moving on to new business, we have a contract from Waterboy for our 2025 pond treatments down at Stevens Pond. It looks like these prices have gone up a little bit from last year.
and the water went down last
Yeah,
year.
water is definitely down on that pond. So this totals for the, from April to September treatments, $1,207.67. So they only treat during the warmer months.
No, I must not have brought my.
Does anybody recall what it was last year?
It seems like, to me, it was right around 1,000, so increased by about 200.
Around $250 a month. It was probably close to the same amount. I did have to transfer money to pay the rest of it, so it probably was a
Right.
little bit more.
Which the technician from Waterboy did tell me there are some ways we can reduce these costs. Obviously, it means spending money on other things, but, so, we could dredge the pond and get it, get all the silt that's built up. So the deeper the pond is, the less algae will grow. We could also purchase the barley straw bales and line the edge with the barley straw of the pond. As the barley straw disintegrates or breaks down, it releases a different type of chemical that stunts the algae growth. But those are just some other options we can try.
Could we just throw a barley bale out in the middle of the
Yeah.
load?
I mean, you could, but
Would that-
it'll be just,
Would that work as well?
yeah, the bale might not, disintegrate as well as like what they showed on the YouTube video I watched is they took the barley bale apart and stuffed it in those little nets that they use for putting down landscape,
Yeah.
covering for grass seed and stuff, and then that sits just in the edge. Of course, if the pond level drops as much as it did this last year, the barley won't be in the water anymore, so you'll have to go out there and move it.
Closer and closer to the
Yeah.
Right.
edge of the hole.
Now, I thought when, couple of those times when the water was practically non-existent out there, we run out there with our little tractor and dredge it ourselves.
I suggested that to Tom Stein at a planning meeting, that he go out there and just
Yeah.
When
dig
it was
dig a little bit
Right.
for us.
bored.
Get
Yeah.
that top layer off, but, yeah. All right, so we need to approve this proposal. Or not?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, got a first motion,
I'll second.
got a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, motion carries. All right, next on the agenda, the parking lot at 12 East Michigan. So I got an email from the Clayton Presbyterian Church. They were just interested in when we pave our parking lot, they want to use the same contractor and then pay that contractor to pave their parking lot as well, the parking lot that's on this side of Pennsylvania from their church. Which makes sense because the deployment fee, you'd only pay that the one time. Plus, the more asphalt they can bring out at one time, the cheaper price they can give you on it. So I liked what the Presbyterian Church was thinking. So they just said, can we do this? And I said, well, I'll bring it up at the town council meeting. And then they also asked, do you have maybe a time frame on when that might happen with paving 12 East Michigan? So, which I don't believe we budgeted anything for this parking lot this year, did we? We did.
25,000, I believe.
Okay.
I didn't bring a copy of I had it all up there. I had it all in there.
We haven't got
Had
an
too many
estimate,
things, I guess.
have we?
We do not have any estimates yet on the
No.
paving part, so we could work on that part and then see how much outside of our budget it goes. So I know, we had Midwest Paving in town last year for the streets that we did with our CCMG. And last year, we had, 2 years ago, we had All City Paving did Pennsylvania for us, and we've had Wallace Construction in the
Wallace
past,
came
so
out-
we could,
Wallace came out a couple of weeks ago,
did they?
yeah.
Okay, so we could just ask these companies that have been out and see what they would, see if they could give us an estimate. Is that something you can,
25,000 might fall short, I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's going to, but it's a start.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, we can, the, T-Mobile grant I, applied for wasn't, we were turned down, but I can apply again, so I can, you know, do that. And maybe if, you know, we apply for it in the idea that more of downtown's, like the parking lot here and in front of the church is gonna be done simultaneously, I don't know, maybe they'd
Did they
go
give
for
you a
it.
reason why it was turned down?
No, but, I mean, they don't have a limit on the number of times you can apply, so it would be 50,000, so that would,
Yeah.
you know, get us a little bit closer to maybe completing that. All right, so if we'll reach out to some of these companies, ask for them to come give us an estimate on that, that'd be helpful. All right, redevelopment commission, last year we talked about this, and, obviously the deal that, Mr. Penner was, working on with that, developer didn't, pan out. But, you know, in the future, there could be another deal, so I didn't wanna let this just kinda die. I thought, you know, we could go, or look into that. A redevelopment commission consists of 5 people who live in town, which may be challenging, but this body would be able to appoint those 5 people. So, and so I didn't know if we wanted to start thinking about, you know, if you had names of people that you thought might be willing to serve on a board like that.
Do they have to be residents or?
They have to live-
Property owners.
I think they can be property owners, so either live in town or own property in town, one of the two. Right.
I just wanna say that I don't see parking lot in here, so I may have spoken out of turn.
All right, well, hopefully I can get T-Mobile to change their mind on a new grant proposal. And I can get 50,000 from them, that'll give us a start. All right, the next item on the agenda, Indiana Rural Assistance Program. So Mr. Rod Hale, I don't know if anybody remembers, back in 2020, we interviewed him for the position of town manager after Dan left, and he did not accept the position due to us not having insurance or benefits to pay. But he was in the process of moving to Indiana. He still moved to Indiana, and he's taken a job with a state agency called the Rural Assistance Program. So they do things for smaller towns at no cost to the town. So they get grants to pay their salaries to help with things like feasibility studies or monitoring wastewater treatment plant functions and applying for grants for stuff that we might need to do. They would do asset management tasks for us. They could do a rate study for us for free, all these kinds of things. So Pete and I have met with him a couple of times and talked about some of the options. But I just, wanted to let everybody know that we were looking into that. And I sent an email with their little kind of flyer, their blurb on what they can do for us, what kinds of tasks they are allowed to do under their job description, so to speak.
Yeah.
the biggest kicker to me was, he
Free.
said, free.
Yeah.
Right, he said, free, I said, okay, I'm sold. Hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. Any questions on that at this point in time? All right. Franchise fee from Xfinity, have we had any success on that?
Well, I'm getting a runaround, and I'll explain.
Okay,
I call Xfinity. They tell me that they would investigate it, they give me a case number and everything, to get back with them in about 3 weeks, which I did. And they also told me to get in touch with Indiana Regulatory and Utilities, which I also did that. So I call back after 3 weeks' time. They tell me they investigated it, and they basically tell me the exact same thing as the first time I called them, that you need to get a hold of him. Our supervisor told you to get a hold of Indiana Regulatory and Utilities. So I called, was on hold for 30 minutes listening to their prompts. Finally, I took one of their prompts and said, if you want to leave a message, I left a message, and they would get back to me, and they haven't done that yet.
that's the Indiana Regulatory
Right.
and Utilities
Yeah.
Commission?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I said I'd contact somebody too, so I contacted the Indiana Regulatory Commission.
What'd they tell you?
And they replied to me that I actually used the wrong form or submission site for a problem, but the lady, I have a name, and she forwarded it over to, she was with the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor. So she forwarded over to the technical department of the Regulatory Commission, and that they would be getting a hold of me. So I haven't heard back. That was like on Monday I sent that.
Okay.
And then she got back to me on Tuesday, or yesterday. So if I don't hear from them in a few days, I will contact this Allison Sanders back and see if she can give me a name of somebody, and I'll CC you on it.
Yeah,
And then see if we can wedge our way into the door that way.
right, right. And when I call Xfinity, they say on the prompts that it doesn't apply to Comcast or Xfinity unless you have a complaint. So I got through to an actual person and filed a complaint. That's how I got the ticket number and everything. But then after they tell me to contact them back in 3 weeks, they tell me the exact same thing they did the first time. I need to get a hold of Indiana Regulatory.
I'll let you know.
Well, I mean, not surprising, I guess, because, I mean, they probably don't want to let go of their money. But they are charging the customers in Clayton, they're charging that
Yep. Yeah, they told me
franchise
that
fee.
first time I talked to
Right,
them.
Is it-
and,
Is it possible that they kick that in a year after they have been in service somewhere? Or, I'm just kind
Yeah.
of thinking out of the box there, that might be what they do.
yeah, I mean, everything that I looked up about it, it's, you know, most municipalities charge a rent for right-of-way. So they've put cables in, you know, down in the ground around, you know, the town, where now we have to worry about, if we're digging up sewer lines, we have to worry about fiber optic cables from Xfinity. So you know, they've put this responsibility on us to keep aware of what they've put in there, and it's on our right of way. Usually it's municipal property that they put this in on. And so that's why they pay these franchise fees to the municipalities. So then, they don't just pay it out of the goodness of their heart, they pass it on to their customers, like most businesses do. So their customers are paying that from day one.
Right.
So you sign up for Xfinity, it's on your bill. And, so,
Yeah. Yep.
but they're putting it in their bank and
Yeah.
hanging on to it right
Drawing
now.
interest.
Right. All right. Pete, you're up next, so you can just stay right up here on the podium.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we got, two manholes that need repaired while we was putting in those sensors. Thanks to the
Yeah.
manhole, man, right here.
Yeah.
Andy.
Mr. Manhole, you gotta call him Mr. Manhole.
Yeah.
It's, A17 and C9A, which A17, if I remember correctly, is the one down across from.
Right in front of Car Culture.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then the other one's down where the school bus parks on Iowa. I don't know the exact, don't remember the address.
Yeah, it's on the west side of 39, just before the bridge that goes over the Ader Ditch. So it's on that.
So
Yeah.
he discovered that while he was down in there. Okay, so this one right here is the estimates that he gave me to have those repaired.
And these repairs will make an impact on reducing I&I, because that's some of the things that he's discovered is that these are leaking, like Swiss cheese.
Yep.
So, and I'm sure we've got many more that are probably doing the same thing, but, these two are ones we've discovered right now. Now, on the manhole, on this quote, I'm just asking a couple of questions here. It says quantity 25.3. I assume that's surface area of the lining?
The total vertical feet. So,
That manhole is 25.3 feet. Oh, both of them together.
Yeah.
25. I was gonna
I
say
think
that's
they
a
were
deep.
like 13.
That's a deep manhole. 25 feet.
One of
The
them's 13.
two of them together is 25.3 feet, and so the price to line both of those at 1 inch thick.
But one of them needed an injection, correct?
Yeah, so in order to do the linings, we need to stop the leak on the outside of the manhole. So we'll drill through it and then use an injection grout on the backside to stop the leak so the water doesn't just wash the liner off whenever we're done. Cause then you're just basically not fixing the problem. And I think on the quote, that's like maybe the third line item, the 985 will be that injection grout, so.
I'm apologize, I wasn't paying attention at the beginning of your, how many manholes did you look at, just these two?
Well, we looked at more than two, but
Okay, these
these
two
were
are-
obvious.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will come out of the wastewater, no,
Yes.
I mean, this comes out of wastewater treatment, okay.
Because it's not a storm sewer, it's a sanitary sewer.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept the bid.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carried. We will get those two manholes repaired for now.
Okay, and Andy would like to kind of put on a presentation on what he wants to, explain the liner. He's gonna offer 10-year warranties,
Yeah.
in case he has to do more, which I'm sure we will. So you, go ahead.
So basically on your guys' sheet that Pete gave you, on the back, it just talks about the Mr. Manhole, the ones in the street. I recommend to do a Mr. Manhole, that way you don't have to damage the liner on the inside, cause that comes up into the casting. You can, clean up the streets a little bit, make the manholes level in the streets to keep water from running in the tops, and then also the snow plows won't tear them up as bad. And then on the warranty, the only thing I do ask is if there is anybody gonna tie into those manholes or excavation projects, just let me know. That way we can come back and make sure that the repairs are made properly. into the liner, because if, like I told Pete, if we come back in 10 years or 8 years and you guys are like, this is leaking, and it's leaking where we haven't lined or there's been something in it, I can't do anything with it, so that basically is what I told Pete. And if you guys have somebody doing it, just let me know, and most of the time we'll do that service for free, just to protect our name and what we're trying to do, so.
Now typically, somebody shouldn't be running a lateral into a manhole, right? They should run the lateral to the sewer main.
The sewer main, I mean, like, what is the
That
place
one
down
down
here at
here.
the tire shop or the body shop or whatever? It actually has one that comes in the side, so, I mean, it's not very uncommon, I guess, to
Oh,
have
yeah.
them. You know, whenever you have an older system, you do what you have to do sometimes, but, I mean, I personally have done them that way, so sometimes you do. Main thing is like a sewer main install. If you replace a piece of sewer main or a length of sewer main between two manholes, that's where you really get into, you know, if you're taking out the old main, it has to go back in the same hole, well, the liner goes around the pipe to seal it all, so that would be a big area, you know, in the future, so. That's what I have, and then the pictures on there are just kind of some of what the Mr. Manhole looks like and, on the front cover there,
Yeah.
so. Questions?
Any questions for Mr. Manhole?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all done?
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions for Pete before he sits down?
Well, I have to sit down with him up here.
All right, Chief Remender, you're up next, sir.
First thing I got here is some dates for Music in the Park. We're looking at June 13th, Jenny, July 11th, and August 29th.
I have to go look and see.
Okay. So those are preliminary.
June 13th sounds,
It sounds, it's a Friday too, Friday the 13th.
What's that?
Well, I guess we know what band you're gonna
In
have.
June?
then.
Exactly. In June, yeah. Yep, and then July 11th, and then August 29th.
See, John, you can actually pull that calendar up on your phone.
Yeah. You can? I dropped it on the floor.
You dropped your phone,
so it's.
What was the August date?
August 29th.
29th. Okay, thank you.
no, they're okay.
They're all good?
Yep.
We'll take them.
Good deal.
The next thing I got is, next month, the month of March, we're hosting and teaching a 40-hour pre-basic for Central Indiana new law enforcement officers. So the new officer we hired, Sam, he has to have a minimum basic training, and it's a 40-hour pre-basic, so we're gonna host that. And my goal is to actually make a little bit of money off of this thing for the police department as well. So we'll see how that goes. I've already had a big significant people from the different age towns asking if they could put an officer in,
Yeah.
so hopefully we can make a little bit of money for that. My next item is, I just got an email, and I'm not sure how Matt paid for this, because I've not had this bill, but for Lexipol, our policies and procedures, I've got it's due in April, and it's about a $3,000 bill for those. The good thing with that Lexipol, I know Graham will like it, is it just protects the town for liability, because they do our policies. And so anytime the state of Indiana does anything, adds a new policy, or the state has a new statute, they automatically update it. And so it really is just state of the art, updated like as soon as you can get it. So it really is a good thing for us to have.
You get an alert. Lexipol
Yeah,
has
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's, yes.
posted
Yeah.
a new
And then I
story.
send the training out to those guys then to pull up, to do it within a timeline. It just really keeps, especially
Yeah.
the major type 10, you know, firearms, vehicle pursuit, all that stuff. It just, so that's due in April. I'll get you that. Because
Okay.
right now, it's not an invoice. They're just sending it to me, telling me that we're due.
Okay.
One of the other things, a couple of guys did a active shooter for a local school, so doing some training, active shooter with the local schools. It's a really good thing, it's positive. And then the last one I got is we've done a lot of extra patrols in Gilbert Woods for speed. And then we've had a few complaints on loud noise complaints. We personally, the guys on the department haven't had any of them, so county's kind of taken those, but I've been on a few times kind of listening. We haven't had anything, so maybe it's calmed down, but we did have a few complaints of loud noise.
Probably when Graham's in the house.
Yeah, we had a domestic next to your house one night too.
You didn't know that?
So noise complaints throughout town or just in?
Actually
certain areas?
down,
In the doubles.
yeah, in the doubles.
Okay.
Yeah, they,
Yeah, music,
Oh, I did see something about
music and
that.
stuff.
rock and roll show
Yeah,
in one of the doubles,
yeah.
I guess I'll have to pay more attention in my end of town.
right?
The only loud music I'm aware of is Graham.
That's what I said, he must have
And
been
I
in the
just go over
house.
and pull it, unplug it.
Need some wire cutters?
You're on camera, behave.
I didn't mean that, Graham, I didn't mean that.
This is hard.
Bless his little pea picking heart.
That's all I got. Anybody got anything for me?
Yeah, I was talking the other day, I guess there's a House bill in or something about for
Yeah.
police, a tier, if you're not a tier 1 police officer, which is like a full-time paid
Yeah.
officer, one understand, if that bill passes, your officers can't go past the town limits.
You're right.
And allegedly, if one's having a problem outside the town limits, officer needs help or something, they can't go legally
Yeah.
and help one,
It's
so.
House Bill 1168, and it passed committee, so it's at least past the initial phase.
Yeah.
And so what it would do is it would restrict any agency that has tier 2 officers, which is a town marshal academy, and
Yeah.
any reserve. So like myself and any of the guys I've hired that have been tier 1, it wouldn't apply to. I'm
Okay.
actually against the bill from that standpoint,
Yeah.
because if somebody literally would, a county officer a half mile down the road here in the county was asking for help, literally one of my reserves could not go down and help him legally,
Yeah.
which makes no sense to me. I don't have a problem if they wanna restrict it countywide, like at least give you a county, within your county you could
Yeah.
respond. But I think it's a public safety issue if you're hindering a reserve from actually backing up. Like when we back up AMO a lot, same thing, they help us, that would restrict that if they were a reserve or tier 2 officer.
And that would stop you also if you went out to the football game.
Correct.
You couldn't go to-
Exactly, we couldn't work the reserves
Yeah.
could not work that football game.
Yeah.
Yep,
Right, so-
yeah. So
Do
it's
they
Is it
think-
the fact that they're reserve officers or that they're tier 2?
both.
Both.
Yeah, because they're hitting both of them for some reason, which doesn't
But-
make
Now,
any
what's a
sense.
tier 2?
So tier 2 would be like, so for smaller towns like Clayton, if you hired me full-time, I could go to a tier 2 academy, which is reduced. It's like a 10-week academy versus the original 16-week academy. And so you're classified as a tier 2 police officer.
Are they afraid that reserves are just gonna like go crazy or?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm hearing is that they're trying to stop don't kind of reserves going to Marion County and working part-time.
Oh,
That's what it sounds like to me. So this bill doesn't really do that, because you're restricting them from actually
In their
backing
own
another
county.
officer up in their own county.
Yeah.
And you said that's where at in the procedure? Is it
It passed committee.
Passed committee.
So it's,
Yeah.
Representative Bartles is the one that wrote the bill.
Well, now, it does say a police officer retires, a full-time, let's just use a Plainfield officer.
Okay.
He wants to come out here and work with you as a reserve.
Yep.
Now, he wouldn't fall under that
No,
category?
because he's a tier 1 officer, and
Yeah.
so by the academy, I would log him in as a tier 1, and that's
Okay.
actually most of the guys I've hired since I've been here have been tier 1 guys.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't qualify to them.
So you could have reserve officer that's a tier 1.
Tier 1, correct,
And that would be okay.
correct, yes,
And then this,
Yes.
this House bill would not apply to that.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's gotten a lot of legs here lately. I guess it's been put out before in the past and it's not gotten out of committee. So it's gotten a little bit of legs here. A lot of people think it's not gonna go through this year, but everything I'm reading,
Yeah.
it's getting legs. Even I think there's been a couple of news agencies that have done a article on it. But I'm not for it. I would be okay with it if they gave us countywide, but, so I kinda set my representative.
Yeah, because that eliminated like that accident the other day of 39 and
Yes,
40.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
For
the
help
fatality
there.
out there. We couldn't have responded to that
Yeah.
unless we were a tier 1 officer.
How many tier ones have we got?
So I've got, myself, Captain Dubner, Captain Richardson, Officer Baztag. 4.
And how many tier
And then we
twos
have
or,
no tier 2s, and the rest would be reserves,
so how many is that?
6. So it affects 6 officers.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
good. Well, I meant to actually bring that up.
Yeah.
before I put it out.
But say, one of your reserves, something happens, let's just say, which it could,
Mhm.
he goes and helps this other officer. Now, is he, something happened, is the town liable because he went and done this and something went wrong, or?
Yeah. Yeah, we could be.
Yeah.
All the above.
All,
The
yeah.
officer could be, I could be, and you guys could be,
Even if it went right.
even if it went right.
Right, yeah.
Yes, yep, yeah, because they legally would not have jurisdiction over that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't pass, 'cause
Yeah.
I just think it needs some amendments and some corrections
Yeah.
for it. I'll keep you posted on that too, because I think maybe here in another week, maybe next week, I think it may go up to that next
Yeah.
committee for a vote. So,
Okay. That's all I had.
anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Sean, you're up next.
Got January's report of operations for you guys. We received 3,910,700 gallons this month. Average daily flow of 126,150 gallons per day. We had 5.3 inches of rain and the plant was at 42% capacity. Our treatment removals were all good. We wasted 57,000 gallons and ran supernatant for 24,700 gallons. We did not have any violations. Everything was within limits this month. On projects, we've started working on the inventory list of equipment and supplies at the plant. We're still continuously working with that. Install timers on the blowers to VFDs to save electrical costs. I'm still waiting on a time to meet with the electrician to get quotes on that. This past week, blower 4 went out on us, and we also found out blower 2 was not operational. When blower 4 went out, it was overnight, came out the next morning, it was not running. That left me with blower 3 was running, and then I had blower 1 that I could turn on. Well, I turned blower 1 on, and it would not operate either. It was pumping against a closed valve, and it kept popping off the valve. We didn't know what was going on with it. So it's kind of an emergency situation. We really had to get something resolved pretty quick. So immediately called Maddox, and I called Pete, and then him and I discussed some options over the phone, and we decided that calling Maddox out, which is MIG, to come out and take one of our spare blowers that were in the shed and swapping that out in the blower 2 spot to get me 2 operational blowers was imperative. reparative. So they got out the very next morning, switched that out, and we were only down to one blower for about a day. So we didn't have any violations. I mean, we had some elevated results on our ammonia and some higher numbers, but nothing outside of our limits. Luckily, we did have those 2 spare blowers in there. While they were out, they also troubleshooted one to find out what was going on. I guess there's a check valve on the back side of that that is stuck closed and it will not open. So that needs replaced, seized up, I don't know. The blower itself's fine, but the check valve's bad. So they're gonna get me quotes on that to repair that and get our blower 1 back up and running so we can actually use it. And then that leaves us with blower 1 would be operational after that's repaired. Blower 2 is brand new, so it's running good, and that should last you about 10 years, that's a lifespan on these blowers. Blower 3 is old, but it's running, and I checked through everything on it, and it's good. And then that, we're still out with blower 4. They wanna swap that one out, they're gonna give me a quote on doing that, it's not an emergency type thing. Other than that, other projects, BBC was supposed to be out today to install the alarm system for the plant, but they had something come up, so they're gonna be out tomorrow morning to install the alarm system. They assure me they will be here. Then I'll be meeting them at the plant to make sure they get it installed and get our blowers on alarms, so when they go out, I'll get a phone call and won't find out the next morning. And an alarm on our overflow tank that IDEM wants us to do. Still researching quotes for the SCBA, so it's not an emergency right now or priority because of, we're in non-disinfection season. And then the other project, MIG has ordered parts to repair blower 4 and also parts to replace a bad check valve on blower 1. Once parts come in, we'll schedule the repairs and get quotes and get it approved.
This still isn't gonna give you identical blowers on all 4, they all have to be different?
No, they're all the same blower.
Okay, what was is it pumps then that we were talking about where something was different and you couldn't get the same part?
Well, that was the clarifier drive.
Oh, okay,
That was a few months back or
Yeah.
so. The clarifier drive went out, we had to replace it. We couldn't get the
exactly.
exact motor, so Pinner got a hold of a guy he knows that works with motors and
Yeah.
stuff and got
Gotcha.
comparable, got it fixed.
So we had spare blowers in the shed,
2.
but now we don't have any spares because we've swapped those out.
Basically, no. We have one left, but they're gonna swap that out with number 4 spot. So we'll wanna at least probably purchase 1 spare blower to have on hand. Cause once they swap that out, you'll have 2 brand new blowers and 2 old blowers. Is the way it'll work. Cause you have a total of 4 and we run 2 blowers at a time to maintain treatment. And you can limp by on 1 blower like we did for a day or so, but after that, you're gonna start having major operational problems.
So you'll add that to the inventory list
Inventory
for
list, yeah.
things to have
Yeah.
on hand?
Right.
Okay.
To have a spare. And these blowers are, like I said, they're 10-year lifespan at minimum on these. So I don't know how old the old ones were that were bad. But
And you probably don't know how old the 2 old ones that you're using are.
I have no clue.
You know how old the new one is.
Yes, yeah. And what we do is we put a label on them and like a service label. And
Okay.
anybody can go in there and read, okay, the oil was changed here, the grease was done here. It was put in service like this date, so that we can plan ahead and know, okay, after 10 years, we're on borrowed time.
So do all 4 blowers service all 3 tanks down
Yes.
there? So there's not a blower that's dedicated just to the north tank or just to, okay.
No.
So they have the ability to
Yeah, there's valves.
send water to, or send air to all of the.
Right.
I mean, BBC didn't show up today. There. All right. So I have a request on when you're talking through your report
Yes.
and you tell us no violations. I'm assuming you mean no violations on lab results.
Yes.
Okay, so just for our benefit, clarify that, because currently, we have
Yeah.
plenty of violations that we
Right.
need to go over.
Right.
So-
Yeah, on our IDEM inspection.
Yes, so I just want to, it just sounds, like confusing when you say no violations and yet we have a
Right.
report. So, is it, did you have anything else, or can
No,
we start
no, I'm
going
done.
over our violations? So, to me, this looked identical to the violations report that we got back in August.
Yep.
Is that how you
Pretty
interpret
much-
it?
Pretty much the same
And
stuff.
part, to me, because we didn't do any of the things we said we were going to do, so BBC was one of the items that we were going to do back in August, and
Yeah.
here it is February.
Right.
And then they didn't show up today. So I'm a little concerned that, I don't know if you have other companies that that you can contact to do this same
Not really.
type of
The-
job?
The device is, they rep that device, so
Okay,
that's where you get into problems, just like, they rep hydromatic pumps. So if you buy a hydromatic pump, gotta go through them to get it fixed, unfortunately.
sure.
Um,
Okay, and they're gonna install an alarm
Yes.
on that east tank
Mhm.
where we send or divert high flow I&I on heavy rain days.
Right.
And is that an automated kind of a setup?
Yeah, it'll be an automated thing, you'll have a website you can go to and check it, it'll also have the blowers on there, all 4 of them. It'll let us know, way it works is your blowers are always running, so it'll just let you know which 2 blowers are running and which 2 are off. And if it shuts off overnight and it's supposed to be running, it will call me. And
Sure.
if that high level gets tripped in the overflow tank, it'll call me as well.
All right. So that was number 1 on there. Well, no, that was not number 1. I apologize. Number 1 was the permit modification update, and that was our engineering firm is still working on that. Which, just so everybody knows, I met with Bannon Engineering on Tuesday of this week about the permit modifications. They didn't have any good news for me either. Because of us attempting to tell IDEM that east tank is now gonna be just for overflow. It can't also be considered a standard,
Wastewater plant.
right, package plant,
Package
digester,
plant.
whatever you call it.
Right.
So that's, it's going to be out of service for a plant and in service just as a storage tank. And, so after talking to him, his suggestions were to not get into trouble over our rating by decreasing our capacity so much as to having that east tank out, is to rehab the south tank, the one where the wall is caving in on
Yeah,
it.
that's what our inspector said too.
So, of course, that, I wasn't very happy with that, just because the price tag for that was about $800,000 to rehab that south tank. Which, I mean, that doesn't sound unreasonable for rehab, it's just I don't necessarily wanna
Pay that.
spend another $800,000 on something down there right now. I didn't think about this when I was talking to him, but would switching, since the east tank could be a fully operational wastewater treatment plant, the south tank can't currently. Could the south tank be used as the overflow where we divert just water in the high flow event, the rain event, and the east tank be still used as a normal
Production.
Yeah.
package plant? Right.
You could do that, I would actually prefer that, but I don't know how low, the problem with using a tank for an overflow tank, the level's gonna go up and down. So I
Oh,
don't
and
know.
then the concrete will continue to cave in on it because it doesn't have any hydrostatic pressure
Okay.
holding it in place,
That's
right?
what I wondered, what level down, how far can you go
Right.
before you start having the tank
Yeah,
erode on?
we don't want to test that
Okay.
because then, then it'll just cave in and then we'll be in a worse situation, but, all right. True, all right, sorry, Collection system, we have some ideas that we've been working on. Obviously, C1, D1, we've had our permit since October 8th, and I talked to Banning about that. They have sent out requests for bids. Those should be in by close of day tomorrow. So they should be emailing you, Pete, that these are the bids that they've got. And then we can hopefully move forward with that part. These repairs that JMR is going to do with our manhole rehabs can help with reducing I&I as well.
We just need to make sure we document all this, because that was one of the complaints he had too. Is
Right.
that any work done in the collection system, we need to have documentation of that left at the plant in the office area. Whether it's like quotes, anything and everything we can have, just to show that we are doing something, because otherwise it looks like we're not, even if we are.
Right. And when the inspection was done, we'd only had 2 of our little flow sensors installed. We now have 9 of them installed.
Okay, good.
So we should hopefully start getting some data and be able to report to IDEM that we're making progress. We're collecting the data that's going to show us where this I&I is at its worst for us. All right, we talked about the alarm system. The foam issue, you talked about that. There was, I don't know what the foam was related to.
It was.
If you want to clarify that.
The overflow tank had frozen over, because it got really cold. It was a pretty harsh winter. So down in there was big chunks of ice. Well, that day he came out, it just happened to start thawing out, I think. And it's like any soap from laundry detergents or whatever. It thawed out, it got hit with the air, and it started sudsing up. So it was creating like a soapy foam that was spraying out everywhere. Not spraying out, but like flying up in the air, little suds. And they were on the ground and stuff. But they dissipated while he was there, and it's not been an issue ever since, so.
Okay.
It was just, it figures he shows up and that's happening.
Yeah.
Just my luck.
All right, anything else that jumped out at you on this inspection? It was nice that you were there to talk with them while they were doing the inspection, but
Yeah, I came right
just
up
seemed
and-
like,
No, not that I can think of, just documentation of everything, I'm a real stickler on that, anything we do in town that helps with the I&I, we want to document the heck out of it. Keep it out there so he can see it. Other than that, no, nothing I can think of. I mean, he was pretty satisfied with everything else. I did have one thing, generator fuel, was you ever able to find who we might have paid for, or still haven't? Okay. All right, do you want me just to contact the person that does?
Is it full?
no.
Oh, no,
It's half-
it's not
less than half
empty, I think a
full.
little less than half,
All right.
but I don't wanna get it to where it's too low. So I was trying to find somebody, I didn't know if we ever found it.
Well, I think what the ones that filled it last time, what's Coal Alliance, or which is
Probably.
Keystone now.
Okay,
Yeah. Out there, from out there in Stylesville.
right.
So if that's diesel fuel, I mean, when diesel fuel gets below freezing, it sludges, I mean, it gets
Well-
jelly type.
Well, they put an additive in,
So-
there's a
oh,
winter additive they
yeah.
put in
Alright,
it.
I was gonna
There should be
say,
something in
cause
it.
I used to
Yeah.
have an old diesel Oldsmobile and I had to plug the engine block in to keep,
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the little.
right,
heater-
you,
I know
yeah,
they
you
still
pull your
use them for
extension
school
cord out
buses and
Yeah.
and you
stuff.
plug it in so that the diesel doesn't,
Yeah, they've got winter
Formless.
diesel and then summer diesel, but for the winter diesel, there's an additive they put in it to,
Yeah.
I had an electric car before
Yeah.
an electric car was cool.
yeah.
No, just kidding. All right, so, so that's good, information about the diesel fuel. All right, so unrelated to, any of this stuff, just remember, we signed a 1-year contract with your company, and that was in May. So we're gonna get, close to this, we're gonna ask for, resubmission of bids for next year. And there will be other companies that get to submit a bid, just so you know.
Sure.
Just to be fair to you, that that's gonna come up. I would like to have, a proposal or submission from everybody, by at least the April meeting, which I think is the 10th, April 10th, is that what we said?
I think so.
So that'll give us plenty of time to look at everybody's proposals, but you'll have the same opportunity as everybody else to continue with us another year, but. All right, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions for Sean?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. And, Graham, anything from you for the group?
No, other than I talked to the clerk treasurer from Stylesville yesterday. He was very complimentary of your annexation meeting. I apparently attended it and thought it went really well. So, wanted to pass that along.
Okay. All right. Oh.
It seemed like he was
And
really wanting to get things going.
anything else for the
Yeah.
good of the order? Don, Leanne,
Nope.
John?
Yes, got one thing.
Okay, John's got one thing.
The people at the pantry wanted me to ask the people on the board, would there be a chance of getting some stone down there? You know that alley that goes in the back between the pantry there and that house? It's been getting
On
kind
the
of,
east side?
no, on the north side of the pantry, behind Tuttero's house there, in the church. Would be a chance of getting that stone because it's getting all muddy and stuff. And the people drive in there and park their cars in that field there, so I said I would ask to see if town would be willing to do that or not. To grab it
Like
back.
driveway gravel, that whole alley there from
Yeah, yes,
Ohio over to behind the,
the pantry.
Pantry?
Yeah, yeah.
now that one house, I mean, he seems to think that's his driveway.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. Well, you don't see much of him back there, except when he
Oh,
gets in that
okay.
garage occasionally, but,
All right.
yeah. So I said I would bring it up.
All right, what kind of access do we have to some driveway gravel? Is that,
Well,
and how much would that cost?
Right now, we can't use our dump truck because we got the salt spreader in it.
Yeah,
I mean, I can bring it down with the tractor in the front bucket, but I mean, that'd take quite a bit.
Yeah.
Want to do that whole alley,
yeah, it'd take a while to do it.
so we'd be probably better.
Are you talking from Ohio to all the way back behind the
Pantry,
pantry?
yeah.
Did you ask about this one time before?
No,
No, they,
Okay.
before, they wanted to do the alley, the north-south alley.
North-south, yeah.
And the church objected. They
Yeah.
didn't want,
Right.
yeah,
they didn't want stone
yeah.
So here,
going up towards theirs. So this is the east-west.
there,
Aren't they just parked on 39?
where the car, right there.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
It's paved.
Oh, most of the time, they're parked there for the restaurants.
Yeah,
We could make it one way.
and maybe I would say,
The alley one.
if you decide to do it, you know, they bought a container so that there's no overflow, that people pick up food for animals or whatever. It's not sitting outside, you know. But just where they're stepping around there now, that's probably take a couple shovels fulls there just to, because they're wearing it out, stepping on it. It's kind of muddy right there, so. That would probably handle that.
So, I was just thinking Carson McCleary goes to Clayton Christian
Yeah.
Church, correct? And he has a big dump truck, because he does landscaping and stuff.
Yeah.
Would he be interested in helping with that kind of a project for,
If he does stone, I guess.
Tim has got a dump truck. Robbie's brother
It's true, yeah.
And he hauled for me last summer for nothing. He seen me and Jerry down there, and he said, yeah, I'll help you. So he brought his down, I loaded it in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we've got,
Yeah.
the food pantry here and stuff, and, people might be willing to volunteer to help
Yeah.
Yeah.
with things like that,
Yeah,
to help the food pantry out. So that'd be worth asking
yeah.
him and see if he, has access to some driveway stone and,
Now, there is one other one, when I was doing some rounds in town the other day, the alley that goes by Brad Butler's behind the appliance store. There's one about this long and about that deep in that alley. I could do that with the tractor, that wouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't need a dump truck for that. And I'd get the gravel with Tony.
Another suggestion I would have is maybe when they do the parking lots and the Presbyterian Church's parking lot, they might need gravel then. So could we grab some extra gravel and then do the alley?
But how long would that be?
I don't know, I'm just
Yeah, they're,
saying, since
Yeah,
they're-
we have-
they're
don't
talking
even have-
before the end of winter.
we don't even have
Oh,
quotes
okay.
for
Yeah.
the parking lots yet.
Yeah,
Oh, he's talking before the end of winter anyways.
yeah,
Yeah.
cause they're driving in there you're driving in there every Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
To unload food and stuff.
So how soon would you thinking on getting that done? As soon as possible?
Yeah, as soon as possible. They were.
Well, I think if Tim's helped you out
Yeah.
with stuff like that before, just ask him,
Yeah.
see what he's got available, and if he's willing to donate
Yeah.
his time and his truck and that kind of stuff, and help out the food
Yeah.
pantry. I mean, they help a lot of people in our area, so, donating some time to that
The
should,
way it works is I tell Tony how many bucket loads I get and he charges the town. So Tim could just drive down there and I could load him up and just tell Tony how many I got. I make sure they're full.
all right. Very good. Okay, so that was, anything else, sir?
No, that's it.
All right. Dave, got anything else?
I had a couple things. Would it help if we did forms for the park rental on the town site? And then you could get a form instead of people just asking about rental and then
Whenever they call, I send them a rental form and then they bring it back in, but that's, I mean, if you wanna
With
put
the
it out there,
money.
that's fine. Huh?
With the money usually.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wouldn't be helpful to have that.
We can try it.
And then I'd also, and then the other question about that would be, if we could get a calendar up on there of when it is booked and when it's not booked, that might save you some time of
Yeah,
answering
that's
questions all
true.
the time.
Yeah.
And then if there's any other forms, we could start putting those up there. I put a bunch of FAQs up on the town's website about the annexation. And so if anyone else has got FAQs they wanna put up on there about this or that to curb social media misinformation, that would be great. Anyway, that's all I got.
I have 2 or 3 things. Judy and I are going to the thing in Plainfield again, just wanted you to know that. We're almost done with the year-end report, we have to do capital assets, which that could take a day or 2. And then the charge card, I had to, get a new one today because I had 2 charges. One says QAGAB for $34.98, and one is BLIPLU for $27.96. And so they think that it's fraud, they don't know for sure, so they stopped that, charge card, and they're gonna send me a new one. And then, I will keep the charge card in my office, and if anybody needs it, they can just come and get it, and I need a receipt when they bring it back, because here's all the charges that I had, and half of them I didn't know what they were. Cause they don't tell anything, so I just need to make sure that the charge card stays here and.
Oh, on statements you get from the
Yeah,
charge
it
card,
just
it
says
don't.
like Amazon Marketplace, I have
Oh.
no idea what it is.
Yeah.
We don't even know
Yeah,
what
so
it is.
I didn't have receipts for
Yeah.
anything to go with this, so.
And the State Board of Accounts could potentially ask you for that, so,
Oh, they,
yeah, you
that's why I told
definitely,
Judy, I said, this will be one that they audit.
yeah,
That's the way it
so,
always goes.
yeah, and, I mean, you can make
'Cause they
people
wanna
sign
see-
out the
They
card.
wanna see a receipt that shows
Okay,
when you
good,
take the charge card out and when
Yeah.
you bring it back, and
yeah, sign on the dotted
they're
line,
really, they're really picky about that.
I bet they are. Yep,
You got
One of many things they're picky about.
the invoices from me, right?
If you, I probably did, but I was working on this, cause this took me about, I don't know how long we were on the phone, an hour or more trying to figure
that
this
can go
out.
back down to her, so. All right, anything else before, get a consensus to adjourn? All right, consensus to adjourn?
Amen, yes.
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned, 8:15.